Moving forward with the next industry presentation, the topic stands AI native networking, elevate the experience of digital transformation and IT operations across G2G, G2C and more. We have the presenter, Mr. Rajesh Kumar, Technology Head, Enterprise and Government of India and SAARC Juniper Networks. Can we welcome sir with a round of applause, please?
Good afternoon, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to present about Juniper. But to start with, I just wanted to say that when I heard the starting panel discussion and a lot of speakers speaking about the technologies, one thing I realized when I was sitting in there is that when citizens, when government employees, everyone are accessing the applications, they are invisible to one of the key things in the complete ecosystem, right? So because everyone says that within 10 minutes I have to catch the criminal, every 24 hours I have to do this many transactions have happened, this many crores of rupees have been sent to the citizens. So there are so many things happening, but one is invisible for everyone. That is the network, right? So we never look at the network, because that is working 365 days, 24/7, without anyone even looking at it from the user perspective. So I want to touch upon that because Juniper is a networking company, and I wanted to highlight few of the things where we are coming from and how we are also enabling the experience during digital transformation, right? Because everyone talked about, because there are a lot of things which happens when see, this is what I wanted to just highlight in terms of whenever any transaction happens. There may be a UPI transaction, there may be a FASTag transaction, there may be a citizen getting a money to her or his account. Every transaction happens. But when you look at this transaction happening from the user to the application, right? There are a lot of things which go in between. If any one of the connection fails, then the whole transaction goes for a toss, right? Because the transaction fails. So every transaction or every connection what you do to the application from every user in the network is very, very relevant. That is what we need to look at. I have just put highlights, but this is not the key to say. But what I am saying is, if you miss 10 seconds, then you miss a complete 100 meters dash. Right? You will miss it because they complete it in 10 seconds. That means you have lost that connection only for 10 seconds, but what you have missed is a 100 meters dash, which you can never see again as a live 100 meters, correct? And students missing their exams, right? Even in a lot of retail, some this scanning misses, then they miss $5 per scanning, right? Of the whatever the thing what they want to carry it forward. So if you look at all this, so you feel that now that so many transactions happens, so many users get connected, so much of the, one of the, in the panel said that in the sustainability that every one connection is like driving a car for 10 kilometers. Then think of that so many connections happen, and if so many connections are missed, what will happen to those transactions? So what we say in, sorry. It doesn't work. You can move it. Yeah. So what we say is we need a different approach, right? Because when we have to make every connection count to get this kind of experience, what the digital transformation and what the government is looking for, then we need a different approach. The different approach should be that, as in the earlier speaker spoke about AI, he spoke about qualified data. I can say that for me, it is more of structured data. Right? When I get a right data, structured data from the network, then what we do is we can give a right response to the network back saying that this is the action you need to take. And we can apply that onto a right infrastructure. So this is what we do it in terms of, this is not working, you can move. Yeah. So this is what we do, and what we call it as a AI networking platform, wherein we have the entire solution of Juniper. If you want to start a data center, if you want to implement a data center, if you want to refresh a data center, if you want to have a campus network, if you want to build a wide area network, right? Whatever you want to build as a network, we bring everything into one single AI ops as a strategy. That means we have one AI engine sitting at the top, which covers the entire gamut of Juniper solutions, where you talk about your data center solutions, where you talk about your campus and branch solutions, where you talk about WAN solutions, and you talk about the security solutions. So we cover everything on one single AI Ops engine. And also, can you press? And also what we talk about, the other thing is AI for networking and networking for AI. Do you know what does it mean? Because we are bringing artificial intelligence to the networking world. Whether you have a data center, whether you have a campus and branch, whether you have a wide area network, we bring in this AI ops completely to give the visibility, the observability, the deep insights to say exactly where the problem is. See, getting experience for the user is good, but how will the user get the experience? You need to look at the other way, right? The user will get the experience only when the IT operations guys can identify the issues faster, resolve the issues faster, and they can know exactly where the issue is. If they know those things, then only the user will get the experience, because every connection is going through and most of the connections are not being dropped. So you need to look at both the experience. One is the user experience, another is the IT operations experience. That is what we bring in. With the AI Ops, we bring in the complete IT operations experience, wherein they can find out the problem, where it is, why it is, when happened, what issue, everything across your entire from user to the application. But that means to say from client to the cloud, we will let you know exactly where the problem is. Well, how do we do it? Using our AI Ops engine. And that is what we call it as for AI for networking. But what do you mean by networking for AI? That means to say that when you want to have your own AI from your business perspective, you want to have your own AI models to be built, you want to have your own GPU network to be built on the data center, then we also provide that. So that is why we call it as AI for networking and networking for AI. Next slide, please. Yeah. So in the campus network, for example, or you take it as a taluka office, or you take it as a district office, or you take it as a horizontal office, you take it any office where the users are there, they get connected to a Wi-Fi or a wired, and they go and access the applications in the cloud over the WAN network. When you look at all this, right, you see that there is different technologies, there are different adaptations, and the user is invisible to the entire of this network, right? But when the client comes and connects, when there are issues, then you don't know where the issue is. It may be a Wi-Fi issue, it may be a switching issue, it may be a wide area network issue, it may be a link issue, or it may be a cloud issue. But I can ask you one question. What I have seen is that whenever there is a problem with a user or a client, first fingers are pointed out to where? To the network, right? No one looks at the applications. No one looks at any kind of things. First they will say is, look at the network. That is a common scenario, right? I heard in one of the events, one of the panelists was saying that when there was an issue, they said that network is an issue, but they never realized that the whole plant was down because of power. And still they pointed out network as an issue. So what I am saying is that, so if you know this, I need 5 minutes, sorry. Yeah. If you know this, we have this AI engine which is Marvis. We call it as Marvis. If you have seen Iron Man, you would have seen Jarvis. That guy talks to Jarvis and says, you do this, and it does that, right? So in the same way, we have Marvis, which is a virtual network assistant, and it provides you exactly where the problem is, whether it's at the Wi-Fi, wired, or at the WAN, right? So this is how you get the picture in your dashboard, on a single dashboard, saying that if there was a user who was using Teams call, Zoom call, or accessing any of the applications, any citizen, it will tell me exactly wired was good, WAN was good, MS Teams was good, but his Wi-Fi was problem. If you double click it, it will tell me there was a congestion in the Wi-Fi, or it will tell me there is a radio noise in the Wi-Fi, or it will tell me there is an interference in the Wi-Fi. Can you believe it? What we have done is, we have moved out of the network. That means to say that we are not talking about network SLAs. We are not talking about resiliency. We are not talking about reliability. What we are looking at the clients. If you have 50,000 users, we will monitor each and every user over the network and let you know why this user had a problem on the network and when it happened and what was the issue, why his experience went bad. Can you believe that we have moved out of the network and we have moved to the users? This is where we have brought our AI engine back into play. And just to touch with SD-WAN, So today SD-WAN is, I am seeing everywhere in government organizations, instead of a SWAN network, now all the SWAN networks are going into the SD-WAN kind of a solutions, wherein we have a SD-WAN 3.0, where we can provide a tunnel-less architecture, adaptive encryption, which saves bandwidth of 30 to 40%. There is no tunnels, faster failover, all those capabilities what we bring in. People were talking about call centers. We have implemented in Meesho, you know the app Meesho, where they used to have 40,000 calls dropped every week. Today, there is a zero call drop because they're using our SD-WAN solution. I just wanted to leave it there, right? And finally, coming to the data center, right? I just want to talk about the data center is, when you look at the data center, what it means from the user perspective and what it means from the customer perspective. It means that you need to roll out your services faster, so that the citizens, the users can access those applications and get those benefits. So you need to have that capability to roll out your services in a data center faster, so that benefits can be given to the citizens and the users. What we have done is, we have brought again something known as a intent-based networking. That means to say that you don't have to get into GUI, you don't have to get into CLI. You put your intent into your data center, what my data center has to be. It will go and automatically configure this data center for you. You have to just put the intent. This is known as the IBN network, right? Once you put that, your data center can be up in a day rather than in months. In one of the banking BFSI, they brought up one pod in 19 minutes using this intent-based networking concept. 19 minutes. This is the capability what it brings in, right? So if you look at it, again, we have brought the Marvis into this so that you can identify the issue, because in data centers, there is a lot of overlay, underlay, those kind of contact, and also application flows. You need to know the path. So everything is taken care using our AI engine, right? So it will tell you exactly where the problem is. So this is something which we wanted to highlight in terms of if you are building any data centers, our Abstra is a fabric tool which gives you the capability to have an intent-based solution, and it is a multi-OEM solution. That means to say that you don't have to only do it for Juniper, you can do it for any other OEMs which are there in your data center already. So it is a multi-OEM solution. And this is the Marvis. So if you look at this Marvis dashboard, what I said about client to cloud, right? Client to application. You see so many issues in between. From layer 1 to layer 7 is all detected using our Marvis engine. You click that, it will tell me at layer 1, switch number 10, port number 10, there is a bad cable. You click this L2 switch, it will tell me you have missed 2 VLANs in this switch. Can you identify 2 VLANs, missed VLANs in a 200 switches which you have deployed in your network? No way, right? You can identify a bad cable in 200 switches. Which port? No way. This is what the AI does for you. It will completely let you know exactly where the problem is. So, and one of the panelists were talking about when they integrated with NPCI, the efficacy, Amitabh Nag, right? Efficacy was 50 to 60%. So that is very key. Whenever we adopt AI, we need to know the efficacy of the AI, because we are believing in that and doing the changes. So we should be pretty sure whether what it is saying is right. So our efficacy is 95%. It is a 7th generation AI where we have loaded the trouble tickets, all the issues to this AI engine from the last 7 years, so that we get the right outputs and the right response and the right actions which you can take and then deploy it in your network, so that you can roll out your services faster, you can enhance your experience of the users, and bring the network 365 days, 24/7. That is what we do in of this solution. So last 2 minutes, I'll touch upon security, because already Zscaler has spoken about the security. But what I'm saying is, network security to securing network is very important. That means you cannot have silos in your security. You need to have something known as a connected security. That means when a user accesses the applications, the entire flow has to be secured. So it can be a user, it can be a IoT, it can be a device, it can be an application, it can be an infrastructure. But regardless of that, you need to be able to secure the entire network. So that is why we call it a secure networking rather than network security, right? So how does we do it is a zero trust, as they were talking about. From the client to the cloud, we take care of all the malicious vulnerabilities, all those capabilities using our, again, AI engine, right? So you don't have to put your policies, static policies. behavioral analysis, right? It understands what the applications are being accessed, and it will dynamically push the policies. It will also automate the policies. It will remove the policies which are not used in the network, right? All this leads to the performance, all this leads to the experience, all this leads to secured network in your, whether it's a devices, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's applications. So that is what, and we are number one in Gartner when I am talking about all this, saying that I can pinpoint the issue, I can tell you exactly where the issue is, I can build your POP in 19 minutes, I have given a zero call drop for 40,000 calls for a Misho kind of a network. That means to say that we are also proving that we are in the Gartner in the topmost leader quadrant for the last 4 years for the data center and the campus network, topmost quadrant. So this is where I wanted to highlight, and what we say is, we make every connection count. That is the theme, and as I presented to you, it is not a buzzword. We always do it in terms of taking care of every connection. What you do is taken care on Juniper Networks. And thank you so much. I had to leave it.